My two beautiful children are having a difficult time leaving me alone. They are afraid I might not be there when they get home from school. They have been severely traumatized by this event, and this, to me, is the greatest tragedy of all. All this damage by someone who still shows absolutely no remorse for her actions.
The final chapter in the saga of the Long Island Lolita, Amy Fisher coming face to face with her victim.
Sometimes I think this is a nightmare and it didn't happen, and then I realize that it did.
It was the first time Amy Fisher had seen Mary Jo Buttafuoco since May 19, 1992, the day she sauntered up to the Long Island housewife's home and put a bullet in her head. This time, the two met in a court to hear a judge sentence Amy Fisher to 5 to 15 years in prison.
For many months, you had stalked Mary Jo Buttafuoco like a wild animal stalks its prey. Motivated by lust and passion, you were a walking stick of dynamite with the fuse lit.
The seductive teenager says she had a steamy romance with Mary Jo Buttafuoco's husband, Joey, a man old enough to be her father. He was the 36-year-old owner of the local auto body shop. She was a 16-year-old high school student when she says the affair began. Today, Amy Fisher stuck to her story.
These things, Your Honor, they are all true. They are facts. And I cannot and will not take them back for the sake of harmony.
Mary Jo spoke of her own truths and railed against the girl who permanently disfigured her.
The bullet is still lodged in the base of my brain and causes me constant pain and suffering. The future holds numerous operations, and if there is any unnatural movement of the bullet, I am faced with paralysis and perhaps even death.
She defends her husband of 20 years, the father of her two young children. Police say Joey Buttafuoco initially admitted to having an affair with Amy Fisher. Today, at a news conference, he claimed he never had sex with the teenager.
Amy Fisher is a liar and has zero credibility. She knows that. I know she's a liar. I know she has no credibility.
Joey was not in court today. Once again, Mary Jo faced Amy Fisher alone. She read a letter written by her young daughter, Jessica.
Thank you for putting Amy Fisher in jail. She has done so many bad things to my family and I. Please make Amy Fisher stay in jail for a very long time so she can't hurt my mom again. My daddy, brother, Paul, and I love her very much.
The judge showed no sympathy for Amy.
You are a tragedy and disgrace to yourself, to your family, to your friends, and to society. And you deserve no less than the maximum sentence I can impose by law.
Amy said she was sorry.
If I could change everything, I would. If I could put my hand over her face and make it go away, I would.
While Amy and her lawyer are still furious that Jo Buttafuoco was never charged with any crime, the prosecutor says he is leaving Joey alone.
Amy Fisher was not believable, and we don't prosecute people because they're called lowlifes.
Even before today's formal sentencing, Amy had already chosen to return to jail to escape the media circus that drove her to 2 suicide attempts.
I don't want to be the Amy Fisher that stands here today. I want to be the Amy Fisher that I was before I met Jo Buttafuoco in November of 1990.
It was the night before his ex-wife's trial for maliciously wounding him, and John Bobbitt, America's most unlikely celebrity, was shooting pool and being just plain philosophical. Are you anxious for your wife's trial to get underway?
Yeah. Just want to get it over with.
You
Get
think
it
it's
underway,
going to be
get
the
it over
final
with.
thing?
Yeah, I just want to get the trial over with and, and just get on with my life.
John's ex-wife Lorena stands accused of cutting off John's penis in a fit of rage. The organ was miraculously reattached, and ever since, John has become a cottage industry of T-shirts, movie deals, and media appearances, some more tasteful than others.
And this is really my final offer, $15,000 cash. $15,000 cash. If you show me your penis, you walk away from this in cash.
I caught up with Bobbitt away from the spotlight in the pool hall he used to frequent with Lorena to talk about his ex-wife, her trial, and the glare of publicity.
I want to tell people exactly what happened. You know, I'm not the bad guy. I didn't rape my wife, I didn't beat my wife, and I'm not that type of a guy.
The Bobbitt saga began in the early morning of June 23rd last summer. The 4-year marriage of John and his South American wife, Lorena, was rocky to say the least. The world was about to find out just how turbulent it was. After John came home from a night of drinking, Lorena took a knife from the kitchen, pulled back the sheets on their bed, and cut off John's penis. Lorena then drove her car a few blocks away and threw the organ out the window into a field. 9 hours of surgery were needed to reattach the organ. John had lost almost half his body's blood. Doctors said it was a miracle he survived.
Do you think your wife meant to kill you?
No, I think she just meant to destroy me in the worst possible way she could by taking away my manhood, not so that I wouldn't be able to be with another woman. She didn't want to be with anybody else, and she didn't believe in divorce. And so when I tried to leave her, she got really upset. You know, it hurt her.
Lorena said she'd maimed John because he raped her that night, and she was portrayed as a battered wife. However, Lorena's image as the timid housewife was dashed by her seductive pose in Vanity Fair. John's image, too, was getting a makeover. He was being groomed for a big media payday.
At first, you know, it was kind of one-sided because she had gotten her story out while I was in recovery, you know, in the hospital. So there's not much I could do until I had really gotten out, and my defense team didn't want me to say anything anyways until my trial was over.
Last November 10th, John was acquitted of sexually assaulting Lorena.
I'm thankful for the jury. They believed me, and I just want to get on with my life, and you know, because I got a lot of healing to do and start my life over again.
John Bobbitt became a commodity, embarking on a cross-country tour like some kind of rock star, signing autographs and T-shirts with his new motto, "Love hurts."
Are you concerned that people might laugh at you now? Does that concern you?
No, not really. You know, all that's just, you know, an opportunity to get my side of the story out and explain. You know, people have questions and they want to know, and then, you know, I haven't really met any hostility from anyone. Just a lot of sympathy.
This past New Year's Eve, Bobbitt appeared on radio man Howard Stern's pay-per-view special.
I was flattered with them coming up with the idea of, about raising money to, help me to take care of all my medical and legal expenses. And, you know, I was like, wow, you know.
Viewers of the special phoned in $190,000 worth of donations. John needs the money to pay off his staggering medical and legal bills, hundreds of thousands of dollars. This week, though, John's thinking about Lorena's trial. Amazingly, he forgives Lorena for what happened, but still wants her to face justice.
Do you want to see your wife go to prison?
Well, I don't really know. I mean, I don't want to see her go to prison, but I don't want to. It's a touchy situation for me. You know, she was my wife. I was married for 4 years, and you know, and we had a good times, and I still have feelings for her. But you know, it's just, you know, I just want to forget about her and get on with my life.
If they find her guilty, if the judge were to ask you what kind of punishment should Lorena get, what would you say?
I would say that she would get some mental help and psychiatric treatment, and then I don't know.
No jail time?
Jail time. I'm not really concerned about that. Just that she gets some help and get deported.
Within months of his surgery, John is making a rapid recovery, both physically and emotionally.
You're not really sure the operation is a success, are you? I mean, you won't know for some time.
I'm pretty much an optimist. So I think positively, and I think that I will fully recover because I'm healthy, strong, young, and I guess I'm healing, pretty well now.
After Lorena's trial this week, it's likely that Bobbitt will sink back into obscurity. That's all right with him. John is making plans for the future, like falling in love again.
You think this could ultimately be a new Mrs. Bobbitt?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. It's I have to give her, you know, some time and to get to know her more, and I guess she'll have to get to know me.
My whole life, even as a child, all I really thought about, I used to carry dolls around on a pillow, and I wanted to be a mom.
What Diane Downs wanted more than anything else was to have children. She got her wish, but her dream turned into a twisted tragedy when she was sentenced to life for shooting her children because her boyfriend didn't like kids. Even today, 5 years later, her former husband would like to see her pay the ultimate price.
Executed. That's what I was hoping for. That's what I still feel that they should have done that, you know. We'd all be better off.
But it was the children who would pay for what Diane wanted.
Diane's the type of woman who I think could cut your throat and then sit down and have lunch next to your body.
I wouldn't walk in there and say, this weird person came up out of nowhere and shot us for no reason and just left. I mean, that's not a believable story. I could have, if I had done this, I could have come up with a believable story. It really happened.
It was back in May of 1983, next to this creek, alongside this isolated country road outside of Springfield, Oregon, that this bizarre and tragic crime was committed. It was around 9:45 in the evening when Diane Downs said a man flagged down her car and demanded her keys. When she refused, he pulled out a pistol and shot her and her 3 small children.
I could smell the blood, I could smell the gunpowder, it was just a really, really horrible feeling.
But Diane says she somehow managed to escape and rushed to a nearby hospital. 7-year-old Cheryl was dead on arrival. 8-year-old Christy was shot twice in the chest. 3-year-old Danny was shot in the back and lay paralyzed. Diane, however, received only wounds to her forearm.
It was all wrong. From the beginning, it was wrong.
Detective Doug Welch was one of the first officers at the hospital that night, and although he didn't realize it at the time, this case would consume his life for many months to come.
Here was a woman who was completely apathetic about the welfare of her kids. She was just emotionally flat and preoccupied with something else.
That evening and the next day, police were out in full force, looking for any clues that would lead them to the man that Diane claimed did the shooting, later to be known as the bushy-haired stranger.
I'm throwing the keys, okay? I'm throwing the keys.
4 days later, as one child was being buried, the other 2 still in intensive care, Diane reenacted for police what happened that night. Besides wondering why a woman with children would stop her car and get out for a strange man, detectives couldn't help but notice Diane's seemingly carefree attitude.
I just hit my cast. Started the car and left. The car door shut itself. God dang. Sure, I could sit here and cry and be all upset. And what's it going to prove? It proves nothing. I am who I am, and I can't prove that I'm anybody other than what I am.
Diane was brought up in a strict religious family in Phoenix. She graduated from high school with straight A's. She married Steve Downs at 17, and almost immediately they had children.
I got pregnant when I wasn't allowed to, and I'm not saying he forbade me to get pregnant, but I didn't consult him. I wanted to have children, and so I got pregnant without asking permission.
Well, once she had the kids, you know, it was another story, you know. Well, she treated them like crap, you know. She really didn't treat them very good.
Christy and Cheryl came early in the marriage. Little Danny came later, the result of an affair. Diane then became a surrogate mother, bearing a child for another woman. After 8 years, the marriage ended in divorce.
This was a woman that really got around, you know. Of course, I really didn't know that. Hey. You know, you're not supposed to, you're the husband. You're supposed to be the last to know.
In 2 years' time, I had 10 separate lovers. 2 years. That's not very many, and less than half of them were married.
Diane worked as a letter carrier here at the Chandler Post Office just outside of Phoenix. This is where she would meet a fellow employee, a married man who she would have an intimate relationship with. According to Oregon police, that man would be the reason why she would later try to kill her children. Robert Knickerbocker told Diane he would divorce his wife of 10 years and marry her. But there was one problem. You see, he didn't have kids, and he didn't want kids.
Hey, I don't have a problem with you having a relationship with anybody, you know, especially if it's going to work into something serious. And how does he feel about the kids? Oh, well, he doesn't want anything to do with the kids. He hates kids. He can't have kids, and he had a vasectomy so that he can't have kids, on and on and on.
Diane and the children moved to Springfield, Oregon. She set up a new life in this apartment house and waited for her boyfriend to get a divorce and join her, but he never showed up. According to police, she became obsessed with trying to get him, writing him letters every day, but they would come back unopened.
He would change his mind on a daily basis. I'm coming, I'm going, I'm coming, I'm going. I want a divorce, I've changed my mind, I don't want a divorce. A week and a half later, he changes his mind, he doesn't want a divorce, okay?
This was a real obstacle as far as Diane was concerned. Those kids were a burden, and there was no way that she could see that she was going to get this guy up to Oregon as long as she had the kids.
Along with the letters, this statuette was found in Diane's apartment. Inscribed at the base, to Christy, Cheryl, and Daniel, I love you, Mom, dated just 6 days before the shooting. Police believe this was not a gift, but a memorial, because soon Diane would be without her children. The town of Springfield was shocked by the crime. Diane proclaimed herself the victim of an unknown madman. But as police investigated, they found no evidence to support her story about a bushy-haired stranger. Instead, everything pointed to Diane. Most damaging were the slugs found at the scene. Police say they were fired from a .22 Ruger pistol. Although the weapon was never found, Diane was known to have a similar gun.
We were able to learn that she did have a Ruger.
That she had that gun, and she pulled that gun out and shot those kids with it.
Police were unable to crack Diane's story about a crazed killer who only demanded her car keys and said nothing more before shooting her children. But during a tape-recorded police interrogation, she slipped, changed the story, and said that the man had called her by name and threatened to kill her if she talked.
This individual talked to you, referred to you by name, and also referred to your tattoo.
Right.
As close as you can remember, what did he tell you?
If you say anything about what happened here, that they'd come back and kill me. It wasn't an intentional lie, though. I didn't
But you
just
changed
sit
your
there.
story.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I agree. I mean, you know, you've heard it. It's obvious.
Doesn't that make it seem kind of tough to believe what you're saying? If you change your story 2 months after the shooting?
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to believe me. I'm not saying that anybody has to believe me. But I know within myself, I can sit here with a clear conscience and know that I did not shoot my kids.
There was only circumstantial evidence to go on. Police felt they needed more. They had to talk to the 2 surviving children. Danny was too young, and Christy had suffered a stroke as a result of her gunshot wounds and had difficulty speaking.
Why wouldn't they arrest me if I did it? If they really had this evidence, I say they didn't have the evidence.
Finally, police arrested Diane, and incredibly, she was pregnant once again. Throughout the trial, the public would see Diane being led to the courthouse in a maternity gown and handcuffs. The trial was held here at the Lane County Courthouse in Eugene. And although the prosecution felt they had a strong case, they were still concerned about their only eyewitness. Would little Christy Downs, now 9 years old, be able to take the stand and testify against her mother? In an emotional and oftentimes tense account, Christy Downs told the jury what happened that night. When asked, "Who shot you?" she replied, "Mom did."
Her daughter Christy testified that Mom stopped the car, got out, and then walked to the trunk where she obtained something. We feel it was a murder weapon, and then walked back where she reached inside and shot the kids. After that, we think that Diane then shot herself.
A jury found Diane Downs guilty of murder and attempted murder and sentenced her to life in prison, where she would later have her baby and give it up for adoption. But after serving only 3 years in prison, she escaped by scaling over a barbed wire fence. Diane was now on the run and a threat once again, but she says she was looking for the bushy-haired stranger.
I wanted revenge at that time. I wanted to do some really obscene things to his body.
But instead, 11 days later, she was apprehended, hiding in a nearby house with a former cellmate's husband. Diane Downs is now held in a maximum security prison in New Jersey, where she's working on her latest appeal.
Why are you here?
I don't know. I don't know.
Doesn't that kill you?
No,
Why?
I'm a survivor.
She's destroyed so many people, and I think without one shred of regret. I don't think there's any regret in her body. That I don't think she's ever come to grips, with what's happened. I mean, the gravity of what's happened. The kids especially. She destroyed them. 3 perfectly innocent young children. Destroyed them.
This beautiful young woman is about to go on trial for her life, accused of the savage, frenzied murder of her ex-boyfriend.
I know that I'm innocent. God knows I'm innocent. Travis knows I'm innocent.
She's talking about Travis Alexander, a popular motivational speaker she dated for 5 months. The steamy affair with Jodi Arias came to an end last year when she says she discovered he was cheating.
It wasn't very pretty. Breakups are never easy, but that sort of signified the end of our relationship.
Last June, Travis was brutally murdered. Travis Alexander was found dead in his shower here at his luxury home in Mesa, Arizona. He was shot in the face, stabbed 27 times, and his throat was slit from ear to ear. Police found a camera here at the crime scene. On it, provocative naked photographs of Jodi Arias and Travis Alexander, taken the day he was viciously murdered. Another photograph shows Travis seriously wounded and bleeding. Prosecutors say 28-year-old Jodi went to her former boyfriend's home for a final tryst, took the provocative photographs, then murdered him. They even have Jodi's palm print in his blood. Did you kill Travis Alexander?
I absolutely did not kill Travis Alexander. I had nothing to do with his murder. I didn't harm him in any way.
I met Jodi Arias for a jailhouse interview, her hair now light brown, and she dropped a bombshell, describing for the first time what she says happened the day of the murder.
I witnessed Travis being attacked by 2 other individuals.
Who?
I don't know who they were. I couldn't pick them out in a police lineup.
So what happened?
They came into his home and attacked us both.
She says a man and a woman wearing masks burst into the home and attacked both of them. Jodi claims she fled but was too terrified to call the police.
I'm not proud that I just left my friend there to be slaughtered at the hands of 2 other people. I'm not proud of that at all.
You understand, you look guilty here.
I understand that everything, all of the evidence against me right now is very compelling.
What really happened in there?
In a nutshell, 2 people took Travis's life, 2 monsters.
You did not shoot Travis.
No, I've never even shot a real gun.
You did not stab him 27 times.
No, that's heinous.
Or
I've never.
slit his throat from ear to ear.
I can't imagine slitting anyone's throat.
Jodi Arias is sticking to her story that 2 mystery killers murdered her former boyfriend, and she's convinced a jury will believe her.
No jury is going to convict me.
Why not?
Because I'm innocent, and you can mark my words on that one. No jury will convict me.
I am very sorry for the enormous pain that I've caused the people that love Travis.
At her sentencing Monday, Jodi Arias apologized to the grieving family of Travis Alexander, the ex-boyfriend she was convicted of murdering.
I'm truly disgusted, and I'm repulsed with myself. I'm horrified because of what I did, and I wish there was some way I could take it back.
Alexander's 3 sisters also spoke. They sobbed as they pleaded with the judge to show Arias no mercy.
I see the pain in our faces and the tears we've cried, and it never stops.
Then, as Arias stood before her in prison stripes, Judge Sherry Stevens pronounced the sentence.
The defendant shall be incarcerated in the Department of Corrections for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole.
So there it is. The long saga of Jodi Arias is over. She may have escaped the death penalty, but she'll spend the rest of her life behind bars.